Good morning, everyone. I wanted to start this morning with a quick math lesson. Yesterday I did the grade 5 math lesson. Today I'd like to talk about integers for grade 6. Now, integers is something new that we're doing. It's nothing that you've probably heard of before, but I wanted to take some time to introduce it. So you will have this sheet that I've printed off for you in your packet, as well as this sheet here. And they both come right from the math textbook, and they have really good information that I would really encourage you to read. But the first question you're probably asking is, what is an integer? An integer are just a fancy way of saying positive and negative numbers. So we actually interact with positive and negative numbers all the time in our real world environment, and we just don't realize it. So if you think of temperature, we live in Canada. We can have a temperature of positive degrees Celsius or negative degrees Celsius. Now, let's look at this picture here, and you'll see this right in your packet. This is a thermometer, and it is a vertical line. So just like we've seen number lines before in math, this is kind of like a number line. It's just not horizontal, it's vertical. And the farther up you go, the positive numbers are going to show. The further down you go, the negative numbers are going to show. And if you look really closely to this number here, down here, let me see if I can bring you a little closer. You'll see there's a little tiny negative sign there, and that is called a negative degree or negative temperature. I'm going to get my whiteboard, and I'm going to show it to you a little bit bigger. So we've got our thermometer, okay? And we're going to pretend that this is 0 degrees. So anything above 0 degrees are going to be positive numbers. Anything below is going to be negative numbers. Oh. Now, if we get to minus 20, like it's probably close to minus 20 today, especially with the wind chill, you would come way down here and you're probably going to get this, minus 20 degrees Celsius. Now, in the summertime, you're going to have the positive numbers, and you could probably get up to positive, so we're going to do a plus sign, positive 20 degrees Celsius. And what I want you to notice here is that the positive and the negative numbers are mirror images of each other, basically. So they look the same, it's just one is really cold and one is really hot. Now, I have this really interesting, I saw this really interesting example, and I think a lot of us would watch YouTube. And if you look at a YouTube video, let's move our whiteboard over. Let's look at a YouTube video, okay? This is our video here. We have our little people, blah, 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 blah. And they're doing a skit or some kind of a video. Here's the time, the time's right here on the bottom. Now, there is a like button and a dislike button. So there's a little thumbs up for the like. So there's a like and dislike. If a video has 1,000 likes, those are like positive numbers. It doesn't have a positive sign on YouTube. It's got a thumbs up, just like this. Whoops. And the dislike could be, say we have 20 dislikes. It's the same thing as saying we have a negative number. So a positive 1,000 people, negative 20 people who are reacting to this video. That's another way we interact with numbers. Now, hopefully none of you have come in contact with negative numbers in a bank account, but some people who maybe are in debt. So we think about money. You can be in debt, and debt would be a negative number. Money. So if you owe someone money, then you would be say minus $20 if I owe someone $20. But if somebody gave me $20, I would be positive $20. So there's all kinds of different ways to see positive and negative numbers, which are all integers. Now, another way that you can see integers is through this number line, and this is our horizontal image here. It says, you have used horizontal lines with whole numbers. We extend the number line to the left, so this way to the left, of the 0, so here's our 0, to show negative integers. So this one's showing -3, because that's where our dot is and that's where our arrow stops. The arrow on the number line represents -3. -3 is a negative integer. We say -3. Okay, so when I was talking about mirror imaging of integers, it's this here, the opposite integer. So opposite integers are the same distance from 0, but are on opposite sides of 0. So let's look. We've got -3 here, and we've also got +3 here. They're both 3 away from 0. It's very similar to our degrees Celsius. We have our 0 here. This one is 20 away from 0, but this one is also 20 away from 0. It's just they're on the opposite ends of the scale. Now, for example, +2 and -2 are opposite integers. They are the same distance from 0 and are on opposite sides of 0. So this is another way of representing that. +4 and -4 are also opposite integers, as are -21 and +21. So those are some examples of opposite integers, and that's something that you need to know, is that no matter what integer that we choose, if you choose the same positive and same negative, they're the same distance from 0. Now, let's take a look at another representation of integers. Now, I talked about this a little tiny bit yesterday in our math meeting, but I can do it again for those of you who are not able to join. Now, I actually have these little counters here, and these counters are yellow is going to represent positive, and the red is going to represent the negative. So I'm going to create this model +6, +6. So I'm going to use the yellow tiles. 1, 2, 3, whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Move this over. I'm going to have to cover up some of our text. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there I have positive integers. Okay. Now I'm going to do -5 using the red tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now you see that we have positive and negative, and that's all you need to know for your first activity. Now let's go into our packet for a minute. I'll just set these aside. And we're going to look in our packet to this sheet here. Now, this is just to get familiar with integers, and this might be really easy for you to do, and maybe you've already tried it. So let's look. I've already done the first one, and that was one I believe I did on my video where I explained our work packet. And that is, integers that are greater than 0 are called positive numbers. Integers that are less than 0 are called, and you can probably guess it, negative numbers, because it has that negative symbol, just like we see in this number line down here, and the same thing we'll see on this thermometer. Now, on a number line, the numbers located the furthest to that blank have the greatest value. Now, when we look at our positive and negative numbers, our positive numbers are always going to be greater because they are above 0. 0 means you have nothing. Negative numbers means you have -6 or negative whatever. So our positive numbers are always going to represent or equal more. So positive 24 is going to be more. So here's positive 24. It's still going to be more than negative 24, even though they're the same distance from 0. On a number line, the numbers located the furthest to the blank have the smallest value. So what's the opposite of that? So think about the opposite. If the positive numbers are greater, then which ones have the smallest value? Negative numbers are always shown with a sign. Now, if we look back here, these are the negative, this is the negative model. What does it have beside this number? And here's our positive model. What symbol does it have? So you just have to write that symbol in here, and the positive numbers have a what symbol. Okay, so that just needs to be written right in those these two. Now, answer these questions. Is it possible for a negative number to be greater than a positive number? Explain. So you'll need to do some thinking on this. Really, I want you to think about that temperature, and I want you to think, can you ever have a negative number be greater than a positive number? If it was -50 out, which I hope it never gets to -50, is that ever going to be greater than +3, +5, +10? You'll have to think really hard about that one and explain to me why. Okay, it says explain. What is the smallest negative integer? Explain. So again, it's some thinking you're going to have to do on that one. Now, you get to try to place your numbers on a number line. And these ones are great for you because it already has a starting point and an ending point. Let me see if I can make it easier for you to see. Okay, so, whoops. Okay, here we have +10. Here we have -10, okay? Now, it says to label these integers on the number line. So you would have to find out, where does our 0 place on this number line? 0 is going to be 10 away from this number as well as 10 away from this number. So probably somewhere in the middle is my guess. I want you to try it yourself. And then where would you put -6? Where would you put 8? -9, 0, 2, and -2. Okay? I want you to figure out where, and these nice lines are easy to guide, and they're just, this is 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, and so on, until you get to -10. I may have miscounted there a little bit, but I want you to just double check. And then label these integers on the line. So B, you're also labeling, but instead of giving you a starting point and an ending point, it tells you where 3 is located. So you know that +3 is going to be 3 away from 0. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then you'll mark your 0. And that's going to help you figure out where your negative numbers are and where your positive numbers are. And then you're answering questions here underneath about the number line. So that should be fairly straightforward. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. I want you to be asking questions, whether it's to me, you can put a question onto Teams, and anybody in our class can answer if they have an answer for you. This booklet should be hopefully done by today because there's only 4 sheets in this, so 2 for yesterday, 2 for today. And then don't worry about the rest of the sheets until tomorrow. So I hope that is helpful, and please, please, please join me in our math meeting from 12:30 to 1 o'clock. Good luck.